Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Rafe West. Hoping you're all well out there. Um, in this video, I wanted to talk about something um, that actually has a name for it, but a lot of people may not know that that's what it is. I wanted to talk about something called social engineering. All right, and so this video is going to be a little bit kind of like street talk, but with a personal development spin on it. I wanted to talk about social engineering. So, what is social engineering? Social engineering is basically when when someone tries to get someone else to do something they don't really want to do. So, I'm in a major city and you see this a lot. You can see this everywhere. This is prevalent everywhere. Um, Here in this city, they even have a title for them. They're called hustlers, and um, it goes hand in hand, like panhandling, people like that do it. But I have a problem with this sometimes, in the sense, not a problem per se. I know it will probably never be eradicated, but there's this hustler mentality, this phony mentality in the streets of, like, you know, sometimes it's very common here. Someone will walk up to me and say what's up, but they'll say what's up in a way like if they know me for 20 years, for a couple of decades. Oh, what's up? Like they know me. And whenever that is done, or even people come up and ask you what time it is, especially in a time like now when everyone has devices and stuff like that, it's usually they want something from you. And they want something in the form of either physical stuff, money, let's say they're going to ask for money, or a lot of people do it, especially if it's in an area you frequent a lot, they do it to gain legitimacy. So if shit hits the fan, they think you're going to look out for them or not say what they did or something like that. And, you know, I call this out a lot when I see it because I don't like it. Um, you know, um, and the reason why it works, social engineering, whether it leads to panhandling or even to like rob you, is because we as humans are trained to be polite. I see that, like, especially females, they're very polite, like they'll talk to anybody sometimes. And also fear, like they'll be in a place and they'll talk with someone, they'll get information from someone who, let's say, is an employee there, and they won't believe him or her. And then a hustler will come along, someone who's just loitering and stuff like that, and they'll go with him. It's usually a him. You know, it probably has to do with a lot of these people have like psychopathic tendencies and whatnot. They don't really care about any consequences or any risks that they're taking. So, do they even know it's called social engineering? No, but that is the technical term for it. In street language, it's just called hustling. I call it phoniness. You know, like, I'm not cool with being phony. I'm cool with avoiding confrontation. It's all about that. Avoiding confrontation, um, things like that. Violence is always the last resort. So, how do you encounter this, you may ask, when someone on the street doesn't even know you and says, "What's up?" Not only what's up, but what's up like they know you for decades, like you're their long lost relative that they've seen at an airport when a plane just landed, and they're excited to see you after a couple of decades. Now, there's nothing wrong with greeting people. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with greeting people if it's sincere, you know. So now I'm getting to how do we handle this? How do we handle this? The best way I've found is to simply ignore it. You know, like I said, we probably have a bias in our head that we must be polite and answer all questions when a stranger approaches you, and then also fear. But see, it's a manipulation game that they're playing. Um, this comes a lot probably from like prison mentality and stuff. You know, it's run in there. It's like game testing. But in the streets, it's very prevalent. And in the streets, there's actually less consequences. You know, because over here, a lot of people get away with like no respect or you know, they just get away with a lot more stuff. You know, the cops are not always around. In fact, they're usually not around. It's usually after the fact that something happens that they come investigate, take a police report, etc., etc. So the best way I found is to simply ignore them. You may get an insult once in a while. You'll get an insult, or they'll mumble something under their breath. It's not worth the confrontation. You just ignore and keep about your merry way. You know, keep going about your business. Females also should do the same. Learn how to ignore. You know, if you find it hard to simply ignore because your bias of being polite is so strong, you think you're being rude. You know, you could even fake something like you pretend you saw somebody over there and say, "Oh, look, um, I gotta go. I see the person I'm about to meet," and move with celerity and get away. You know. But the best thing is to ignore. Now, if that doesn't work, if they're that persistent, and they're usually not, you know, they come up to you with their phoniness, either "What's up?" Um, sometimes a compliment, which is good to build rapport, actually. A compliment, we could question the sincerity of it, but a compliment or a question: "Where are you going? What time is it? You know, where are you going? I can help you." And they don't allow you to register. See, you got to be aware of this. They don't allow it to register in your head. "Where are you going?" And as your answer, "Come on, let's go." You know, and it catches people off guard if you're not aware of this, if you're not hip to this, if you're not aware of this. Some people, maybe from others, you know, sometimes we say from other states, they're not this, or they come from an urban area. You know, this is everywhere. You got to be aware of this. That social engineering is everywhere. You know, always be wary of the person who comes up to you and asks you stuff as if they know you. Okay. Um, like I said, there's nothing wrong with greeting people if it's done sincerely, or good manners. If you bump into someone and you say, "Excuse me," you know, or "Thank you," you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But so that is how you counter this social engineering. The best way is to ignore and move with celerity. Like if you're walking somewhere with a purpose. So, yeah, that is what you do. It's everywhere. Um, you know, and I'm not saying to be paranoid, hyper paranoid of everyone that comes up to you, but you got to be wary of people that come up to, because a lot of it is this social engineering stuff, this phony stuff, as I call it, and they want something or they have an agenda, and they either want to throw you in the mix, or if shit hits the fan, they think that you're going to vouch for them. And, you know, I do this myself. I ignore a lot. Sometimes I'll call it out. I don't like to call it out a lot because it can create confrontation, even though there is no reason for that, because they know what they're doing, you know, and they suspect when they know they run into someone who knows what they're up to. So they suspect, and they themselves just scatter away or move along, or kind of like you feel the fuel running out. Like they think they got you. Hey, what time is it? Where are you going? And then you stand there and ignore or say something like, "No, I'm all right. I'm okay." And then you feel it just crash down, and then they just go and look for the next victim. Okay, so you feel it, you know it. I laugh sometimes, when they leave. I go, you diffuse it just by them running out of steam. So learn to ignore is the best way. Be wary of people that come up with odd questions, or they want to get near you to ask you a question. And it's usually, where are you going? What time is it? Um, and then they don't even let you answer. They want to speed you into, force you into a decision that you usually may not or will not do. So be aware of this social engineering. It's pretty interesting how it goes in the world. It probably goes back to our evolution when survival of the fittest and all that, and luring people in, things like that. There's probably an evolutionary DNA component built as to why. Now in the modern world, it's done for a crime a lot, and because the thing is, when you say no to these people, something, and they come with an insult or some crazy remark, it's like, why should you have helped that person in the first place, given them something? If you ask for something, and because they say no, you want to get mean about it, then you don't deserve that in the first place. Now, is there some people that are mentally ill and do this? Sure. So, yes. Are there some people that probably play crazy because they know that that instills this fear in people? Absolutely. I think that's a possibility. So you learn this from observing and from just being around and having a little background. So a little background growing up in the inner city, but you know, that's why reading people, this is the self improvement tip now. That's why reading people is important. Now, you don't get to read these people because they come up to you out of nowhere, but the people that you do interact with for a while, learn how to read people. You know, the person coming up to you with that phoniness is most likely a psychopath, a good possibility that they are one. Um, you know, and learn to read people that you know, so you can get better at this and your self awareness, and you can detect this social engineering that is everywhere, especially like transportation hubs and things like that. It's everywhere. Corner stores, foreign neighborhoods that you go in. It's, I call it phoniness because it's just out there. So be careful out there. I just want you guys to be careful, learn to ignore, and outside of that, learn to read people, learn a little bit about psychology, learn to read people. It's important. And the people that you can't read because they come up on you suddenly, just know that ignoring is the best. And just even realizing that social engineering is about to approach your space. Sometimes, like I said, that kills the whole thing. You just see their energy just being worn out. I was like, oh, I don't got this one. I got to move on to the next one. So this is Rafi West with some street stuff slash personal development stuff. And I hope you guys are well. Be aware of this because I believe it'll keep you safe and it'll help you learn to read people. All right. So you guys take care. Hope you're all well. And hopefully I will talk with you guys at another time. All right. Peace.